Hi everyone, welcome back to Breslov Efrat, Baruch Hashem. Today is Asar B'Teves. Today is it's a very, very sad day for Klal Yisrael, but it's a Yom Hilula today for in Breslov because of the yahrzeit of Reb Noson. So it's a special day for us, and you know, there are those that said that Reb Noson didn't want there to be an argument amongst Klal Yisrael, should we fast on my yahrzeit or not, you know? So he said, okay, I'll pass away on Asar B'Teves, so therefore everyone's going to fast. There won't be any argument. You understand? You understand? Do you understand, Simcha? Did you understand that? In other words, sometimes people fast on the yahrzeit. Right? So he didn't want them to argue, should we fast, not fast. Reb Noson wants simcha, he wants achdus by Klal Yisrael. He doesn't want fighting. Right. So it even worked out that he wound up passing away on a fast day, so everyone will fast. No argument. Anyway, there you go. Video, very good. Okay. That's,
someone also was tried to kill him?
No. Okay. Reb Noson had a very, very difficult life, but his entire life he lived it with simcha, and he sang every day. That was Reb Noson. No matter what, he had the most difficult life. He didn't care. He went along and he just did what he had to do. It was amazing. It's also the yahrzeit for my dear grandmother, Esther Ruchma bas Reb Chaim Alevi. Baruch Hashem. She was a very, very special person. And Baruch Hashem. Mama is a very, very special person. I know my mother has told me, I've spoken to her about it. She grew up in New York in the early 1900s, where Yiddishkeit wasn't that popular. Okay, I guess you could say like that. And she was a lady that was very, very well versed. She used to learn to love. She loved to learn Tanakh. She knew Tanakh very, very well. She learned Tanakh very, very well. And there was a very fine doctor that wanted to marry her. Huh? But this fine doctor didn't want to keep Shabbos, so she said, "I'm sorry." She said, "I'm sorry." Yeah. And my grandfather, Oliver Shalom, of Zev Ben Ar Mordechai, Oliver Shalom, and he was a person that he grew up at that time also during the Depression and all of that time, and it was very hard. But he was Sheleimah Torah mitzvahs. He didn't have two nickels to rub together, but they got married in Baruch Hashem. It was amazing, mamash amazing. So anyway, so it's a yom Hilula for Reb Noson. It's also the yahrzeit of my dear grandmother Esther bas Reb Chaim Alevi, and the Neshama should all have a big Aliyah. Okay, we're learning Likutey Halachos. We're learning Hilchos Birchas Hamazon, and we just started now. Yesterday Halacha Hey, which is based on Torah 28 in Likutey Maran. We had a little introduction on it yesterday, so if anyone wants to hear about it again, they could listen to yesterday's class again. It was already posted. Okay, now today we're going to continue the topic. There are four olives. There are 4 olives of kedusha, and then there are 4 olives of impurity. Again, everything HaKadosh Baruch Hu does, He does zelu mazeh oseh likim. Hashem does everything balanced. Okay, so if you can have something on the side of purity, you can have the equal thing on the other side of impurity. Everything is always balanced in the world. Even though today it seems like there's so much more impurity than Kedusha, it's not true. There's the equal amount of Kedusha and purity in the world always at the same time. You just may have to look for the Kedusha, okay?
Where did the olives come from?
Halacha Hey, Birchat Hamazon, Halacha Hey. No, bet. Yeah.
Where did the olives come from?
They came from Bereshis, Bara, Elikim, Es. So in Bereshis is an olive, Bara is an olive, Elikim is an olive, and Es is an olive. Okay, those are the 4 holy olives, and then there are 4 fallen olives, and we're going to learn about those right now. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
In Bereshis Rabbah, Arba poschu ba'af. So this is a medrash. Reb Noson is bringing us the medrash in Bereshis Rabbah. Arba Pasku B'af. There were 4 that began their statements with the word af. Af. Why af?
What was happening?
Anger. Anger. But what are they? Vehem hanocha she'amar af ki amar elikim. Af ki amar elikim. Oh, the fact that Hashem said, af also can mean the fact of, a matter of, but it's also anger. Okay? V'sar ha'oifim she'amar afani b'chalaymi. Remember we had the Sarah Mashkim with Yosef 2 weeks ago. We had the Sarah Mashkim and the Sarah Oifim, the butler and the baker, right? And the 2 of them had a dream one night, and Yosef looked at them in the morning and he said to them, "You don't look too good today." And they said, "Well, we had a dream and we're in quandary. What does this dream mean? We don't know." So Yosef interpreted first the dream of the butler. And he told him that it means the 3 days and 3 days. So there's all of the things. And then he told him that you're going to live. But then came along the baker and he said, "Af ani b'chalaymi." Oh, I also had a dream. So he figured, listen, he had a good interpretation, so I will also get a good interpretation. Well, it didn't work out so well for him because he used that word af, right? Okay.
What does af mean?
Well, af it means even, or it can mean also anger. Chalonaf, yeah. But you can use af al pi. Af al pi you can use also. It's a different, right? That's the same, spelled the same way, right? Okay. Va'adas koyrech amru af loy el eretz. V'haman amar af loy hevesa Esther. So here you go. You have 4 examples of afs. 4 fallen afs. Okay, now Reb Noson is going to explain them. Now that's what this is the medrash. What we just read now are the words of the medrash. Okay, now Reb Noson is going to explain us this medrash in the context of this lesson in Birchas Hamazon based on lesson 28 in Likutey Maran. Okay, so here we go. Ki kol elu ha'arba nimshach de'yaseyem ha'rois mezumas ha'nachash meyatzas ha'nachash shehita es adam. All of these 4, they come from the crooked knowledge of the Nachash, like we said yesterday, the faulty Torah of the Nachash, the faulty lesson of the Nachash. The way he said to Chava, he said, Hashem said, "Don't eat from any of the trees." Well, Hashem never said that, right? Then he says, and Hashem said, "You can't touch the tree." Hashem never said that. He pushes Chava into the tree, and he says, "Look, you see, now that you touched the tree, and you weren't allowed to touch the tree, if you eat from the tree, nothing will happen to you." It was faulty teaching. It was definitely a faulty teaching.
Is there something about the baker I'm missing, because he seems a part of a group that is like way more evil?
No. He's going to explain the baker. Let's get there.
All right, I'm sorry.
Let's get there. Nimshach milimudim hanefulim come from these faulty teachings, faulty drushes. Val kein heim dalid kineged dalid alphan, and therefore there are 4 against the 4. Again, Hashem creates everything in the world balanced. Everything is always balanced. So if there's 4 holy olives, there are going to be 4 olives on the other side, and those are the olives of Af. Okay? He's going to explain now. Kiheim pogmu ba'alfin, because they made a blemish in the olive. In these olives, they made a blemish in them. V'nasa etzlam me aleph Af. They took from the word aleph, which is aleph lamed pei. They took out the lamed and they made it af. We said yesterday, if you take aleph 4 times 4, right? Aleph lamed pei times 4 equals each aleph lamed pei is 111. If you do that times 4, it gives you 444, which is the same gematria as tamid, the carbon tamid that we said yesterday. That you can make the tikkun. Based on lesson 28, you can make the tikkun of these faulty olives with the carbon atamid. How do you make that? How do you do that practically? You bring Talmidei Chachamim righteous people, Talmidei Chachamim, into your house, and you serve them food. You feed Talmidei Chachamim in your house. You serve them. The same way Avram Avinu was serving when the Malachim came to Avram Avinu. Avram Avinu was standing, they were sitting. He was serving them. We learn from that. That's what you're supposed to do when you have a guest, especially a Talmud Chacham. You serve the Talmud Chacham. Even if you have a maid, even if you had a maid in the house, you have a waiter in there, whatever, you serve the Talmud Chacham. That's the way we do it. Okay, now. Okay, took for the dina, and that is the anger. Af hu bechinas charon, right? Which is what? Af took for the dina, the strength, the power of din. Ki hadalid alf in the kedusha heim bechinas tayres emes. Well, of course, the 4 aleph, Reishis, Bara, Kiv, Es. That's the 4 holy aleph. That's the Torah. That's how everything. Rabbi Shimon said you could darshan from the bays of Bereshis. You could learn out the whole Torah. You can learn the whole Torah just of the bays of Bereshis. It's amazing if you know how to do that, right? Right.
Who said that?
Rabbi Shimon. If you could learn the whole Torah out of just the bays of Bereshis. So you see the aleph Bereshit, right? You have these words are unbelievable, and the holiness of the first letter. Every word in the Torah is unbelievable. We learned that all the words in the Torah there are 600,000 letters in the Torah. Remember, and the 600,000 letters in the Torah connected the 600,000 neshamas of Klal Yisrael, the 600,000 that stood at Har Sinai, the 600,000 that were in Moshe Rabbeinu. Right, all that came from Yocheved, right? This is all part of the same thing. So every
600 letters in the
600,000 letters in the Torah, yes, sir.
Like in the whole
Chumash,
Chumash?
yeah. Chamisha Chumshei Torah, yeah.
600,000.
Shoshmot, yeah. Kamo Shoshmot Neshamot. Okay. You can count them. Okay, no problem. Okay. Shehu bechinas chasodim gedolim. That's tremendous chesed. Again, the side of holiness. We said yesterday, if you stay on the right side can wipe out all of your enemies because that's part of the chesed. That's Avram Avinu. Bechinas Torah's chesed. Kabuv b'Torah hanal aval kishepoigmin bahem. But if you're going to make a blemish in those olives, if you're going to try to use the olives for your own sake, if you're going to try to take the olives and use them for your own benefit, not for the sake of Torah. So then you're making kfira, heresy, and avodah zarah, foreign gods. Again, look what Korach did, right? Look what Korach did. Korach took the Torah and he made a faulty drasha, and he went against Moshe Rabbeinu. Shehu bechinas din v'charanaf, k'may shomer b'sein tzchon l'vracha. Kol zman sheyesh avodah zarah ba'olam, charanaf ba'olam. Chazal say, and it's in the Sifri, in Parashas Re'im, Sukta, okay, that what calls man sheyesh avodah zarah ba'olam, so long as there is idolatry in the world, charanaf ba'olam, there's going to be anger in the world. There's anger. Idolatry brings anger, okay? Foreign gods going against Hashem, because again, Hashem is meloi chol haaretz kivodo. Right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Meloi Chol Haaretz Kavod. He fills the entire world with His glory. So if you have an Avodah Zarah against that, of course there's going to be anger in the world. Right? Makes sense, right? Okay, V'al Kain. Elo ha'arba Paschul Kulam Ba'af. All of these 4 they began their statement using the letter, with the word af. Why with the word af? Because again, they were using a faulty drasha. They took the aleph and it turned it into anger. They took the aleph of holiness, right? The aleph of holiness, the aleph of which aleph is 26, right? An aleph is 26. How is an aleph 26? An aleph is made that there's a yud on the top, a yud. There's a yud on the bottom, and then there's a vav in the middle. Yud, vav make 26. Aleph has 26. So they take away they're taking away the Yud K Vav K. You didn't know that?
No.
We learned that. Kikulam Pagmua, they Torahs and Nefulas, and all of this the blemish comes from the Torah and Nefulas. Al Kain, Limdu Limud She'enoi Emes V'Dimyon Shel Sheker. Therefore, they learned, they built this whole pyramid of falseness. It was all false. Kamaya Nocha Shama Af Ki Amar Likim Lo Yisaychlu Mikol Eitz Hagan. Oh, the Nocha said Af. Hashem said, don't eat from all of the trees in the gan. Hashem didn't say that. Hashem said, eat from all the trees in the gan, except for this one. Hashem told Adam, you eat from all of the trees, except for this one. But the Nachash changed and he said, Af, ki amar likim lo yisaychlu mikol eitz hagan. Therefore, he wanted to be mater the eitz hadas. Af, v'chein, Sarah Oifim, Omar. Here's your baker. Now you want to know about the baker. Here he is. Sarah Oifim, Omar. Af ani b'chalaymi. Oh, also, wait a second. I also had a dream. Right? The butler, the winemaker, had his dream. And he, wait a minute. I have a dream too. The Rotza Ledamois Lishavais Chalomai Lechalom Saramashkim. He wanted to equate his dream with his dream. You're two separate people. You have two separate destinies. Why are you comparing your dream to his dream? What are the two? What do you have in common? The only thing you have in common is you're both in jail now.
Oh, so he compared it to the. I was wondering who his dream was. It was who was in the.
Listen. Instead of reading that, listen for a minute, okay?
No, but based on what you said.
Yeah. So the baker said, also I had a dream. So he was equating himself to the winemaker that was already the winemaker that had the dream, and Yosef interpreted his dream first. Okay, Yosef interpreted the winemaker's dream first. And then so he comes along the baker and he says, well, I also had a dream. Thinking that, hey, listen, we both have the same destiny because we both had the dream at the same time. Didn't work. Well, watch what happened. Masha be'emes heim shnei hafochim. They're two totally separate opposites. They're not comparable at all. Come over with Deborah it's written in the Zayir Kodesh, and he bring. Okay, there's other forces now. So that was the idea. In other words, you can't make your own drushes. He should have waited. Had the Sarah Oifim waited for Yosef and not use that word af and jump the gun, right? And not jump the gun. He waited to listen to what Yosef would tell him. Yosef may have asked him, okay, so now what was your dream? Right? And then maybe things would have turned out differently for him. But the way he jumped in there and he took the af, he turned af. He turned the al, he took the aleph and he made it into af. Okay? Now, v'chein adas kairach shamru af loy el eretz. Okay? What is this? In other words, that he was saying, Kairach was saying that also, hey, you're not going to be able to bring us into the land. Right? You're not going to be able to bring us into the land. What happened? We had the chet of the Meraglim, right? We had the spies. The spies came back. And Kairach was a very, very wealthy man. He was very, very wealthy. The Medrash says that he actually found one of the treasures that Yosef had hidden away. Last week's part said that Yosef collected all the money of Egypt, and Yosef hid away 3 treasures. One of the treasures Kairach found. Could you imagine all the money? Amazing. He found such a treasure. There's going to be a treasure that's going to be found when Mashiach comes, and that's going to go to the tzaddikim. One of Yosef's treasures. But either way. Kairach,
Moshe also was.
Moshe was very wealthy because when he ground up the luchot, he got the
leftovers.
That's two different things. Moshe's wealth didn't come from that. So Kairach is very wealthy. So sometimes the money can go to someone's head, right? So Kairach thought, since I'm so wealthy, I should be a leader. He wanted to be a leader, but he was not one of the Nesiim. He was not the Nasi of his Shevet. He was from Levi. He was not the Nasi of Shevet. He was not the Nasi. And he was thinking to himself, all right, when we go into Israel, when we enter into Israel, so things will be able to be changed, and I'll get my righteous position. But then came back the spies, and then Hashem said, Yom Yeshana l'Yom, right? Every day that they were there for 40 days, you're going to be in the desert for 40 years. So what does Kairach do? Kairach says, wait a second, hold on. I thought we were going to be going to Israel in a month, in 2 months, in 3 months. So okay, so I'm not the leader for 2-3 months, big deal. But if this is going to be for 40 years, no, I can't accept that. So he comes to Moshe Rabbeinu. He said, look, you also said that you're going to take us into Israel. But we're not going into Israel. Because Hashem said we're all going to die in the desert. So he challenged Moshe. Again, a faulty drasha. It was a faulty drasha. Here, watch this. V'rotzu lahatais es Yisrael ki'ilu Moshe Rabbeinu chas v'sholem hit'aisa. He wanted to make Klal Yisrael believe that Moshe Rabbeinu was fooling them. V'lomdu kal v'chayim shel shtus machut echad shel tcheles poiter es hatalis. He made a shtus. Moshe Rabbeinu in the parasha right before, but after the Meraglim, Moshe Rabbeinu gave us the mitzvah of tzitzis. Right, that was the last thing. He gave us the mitzvah of tzitzis. The next thing you see, Kairach, Parshas Kairach is the next parsha. Shlach Kairach. Why? Because Kairach said, he was so angry. And then the last thing Moshe Rabbeinu says, this thing about psil techeles. So he says, what is this? If one string can pater a whole garment, then I can wear a garment. If I make the whole garment out of techeles, so then why do I need strings on it? He made a shtur. It's again a faulty drasha. Okay, nimsa sheika pegam haya al yedei limudim pigumim v'nefulim. So you see that the whole pegam, his whole blemish was that he made one of these faulty drushes. He made a faulty teaching. V'chein haman shama af loy hevi Esther. Also, af loy hevi Esther. What does that mean to the when he made the party? Right, he was saying that only I'm going to the party with Esther. No one else is going. Only me and the king. Oh, he was so happy, but he didn't know that was really to his detriment. It was really to his detriment. It wasn't for his. Okay, v'lamad b'datay shehu l'toivosay v'nizgoy me'oid al yedei. He became very, very haughty because of that. He became very arrogant. Super arrogant because he said no one else is gonna be able to go. No one else is gonna be able to go to this banquet with King Achashverosh and Queen Esther. Only I can. So of course he became very, very, very haughty. He became very arrogant. Ad sherotza lisloy says Mordechai until he wanted to even hang Mordechai. That's tzaddik. He came up with the plan that he wants to hang Mordechai. It was all for his own detriment. It was to his own detriment. Because he got the coals, like the gecholim are burning coals, got thrown at it. We know that the famous thing, what happened was that while he was taking Mordechai on the horse, right? While he was taking Mordechai and the horse, his daughter was up on the roof, and she was dealing with the what do you call it? The excrement, the waste, the bucket of waste. Yeah. You know, the bucket of waste. And then she looked downstairs. She looked on the road. She saw from the roof. She saw there's a man leading the horse. The king's horse, and someone's sitting on the king's horse, and someone's leading it. So she said, that must be Mordechai. So she dumped the bucket of gecholim, all of that stuff, on top of the head of her father. And then when she realized she jumped. She jumped. When she realized she dumped it on her father, she jumped and she died. So he was actually Ovel v'chafui roish. It says that he was Ovel v'chafui roish. Why was he? Because he was an Ovel. He just lost his daughter. The Chafui Rosh, he got the Gecholim on his head. Unbelievable. Nimsa, Shekol Elu Ha'arba Pogmu, Ayedei Shekiblu Limudim Rayim, all of these four. Again, you see it again, there's the four holy olives, and there's these four olives that are faulty. So the four holy olives and the four faulty olives are against the four holy olives. But you see how the four, when you stick with the Torah and you stick with Hashem, you have the greatest success. Because you're with Hashem, you're one with Hashem, it's amazing. But if Chas v'Shalom, you want to take it for yourself, look at four examples that did not work out for them well. Nimsa shekol elo arba pogmu al yedei shekiblu limudim rayim hanimshachim mitoras hanefulis that came from these fallen lessons, fallen teachings. Midalet alpha hanefulim from the fallen four olives. Ba'al kein kulam pasku b'loshen af, and therefore all of them started off their statement. They made their statement with the letter, with the word af. This is the medrash. Okay, so you understand, Reb Noson's explaining to us this medrash that we learned. It's an amazing medrash. It's an amazing medrash to learn based on Rabbi Nachman's lesson 28 in Likutey, and based on his lesson, he's going to plug this in to Birchas Hamazon. So he's just giving us the background on it. Okay, bebechinas hekish v'dimma and sheker. They made a hekish, right? And he made a dimya, and he made this big edifice that was just a big mirage. It was nothing. Himshich mitaykif hadin v'charan af shemisham achizas asitra achav alkeid motzu l'damais milsa l'milsa v'dimma and sheker v'chazav. And therefore they would try to make these examples one to the other, and they were making all of these other things. It was unbelievable what they did. Okay, that's up to the, okay. The question is, should we continue? Can we continue a little bit? You have time?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so let's go. We go to Gimel. Let's go to Gimel. So now, Reb Noson is going to tie this into Birchas Hamazon. Now, he gave us this background, right, based on by the introduction, Aleph and Beis. Now we're going to, okay, Zeh b'chinas arba brachas shel Birchas Hamazon, b'fratius. And that's why there's now four brachas in Birchas Hamazon. So again, the four brachas in Birchas Hamazon are to strengthen the four olives of Kedusha against the four olives that have fallen. Got it? Okay. Ki bracha rishaynishu hazon. The first bracha that we say hazon esaylim kuloi, right? Hazon. It's food, right? How do you say hazon? What would you like to say hazon? To feed, good word. Come on, good word for hazon. Yeah. Okay, whatever. Hazon. That's hazon. That's olam kulay. Who kineged bechinas hachesed? That's against the midah of chesed. Shetzrichen lahamshich ayedei zeh mitakdim hadalid alfin. So in other words, the zon is against again, that's chesed. Okay, and of course it's a chesed because it's from the holy Dalit. The whole thing is drawing Hashem's chesed. We said when we're eating, we realize that Hashem gave us the food, right? That's the whole point. When we eat, to realize that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one that gave us that food, the chesed of Hashem. Realize the chesed of Hashem. Hashem feeds the entire world. Kulai betuva, he does it with his goodness, bechein, with favor, bechesed, with kindness, and berachmim, and with mercy. Kili olam chazdai, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu does everything for all eternity is good. Ubracha shniya shu birchas haaretz. The second bracha, we talk about Eretz Yisrael. We praise Eretz Yisrael. Shu ikka k'mayshim avay b'medrash kihi ikka birchas hamazon. The whole point of birchas hamazon is to only give blessing to Eretz Yisrael. We're blessing the Holy Land in the bracha in birchas hamazon. That's the whole point of birchas hamazon, to give bracha to the land of Eretz Yisrael. Kihi ikka birchas hamazon. That's the whole point of birchas hamazon. K'moishe kosav v'yachalta v'savata. The pasuk in Devarim says, v'yachalta, you'll eat, v'savata, you'll be satiated, uveirachta, and you'll bless, as Hashem Elokecha, Hashem your God, al ha'aretz ha'tayva, Hashem, that's on the good land that Hashem gave to you. That's referring to Eretz Yisrael. That's not referring to any of the other nations where there's Jewish communities anywhere around the world. It's only referring to Eretz Yisrael. That's it. V'zois ha'bracha hu birchas ikka hamshochas atikan shel adalad alfin. And that bracha is the main drawing of the tikkun for the 4 olives. Again, it's in Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael is the main tikkun, brings the main tikkun. Nimshach shal yedei achnosas orchim tzadikim, through us bringing in tzadikim into our house, like we mentioned before. If you invite a tzaddik into your house, okay, what?
And serve them.
And yes, of course. You don't said let's bring them to the house and just say, look at the. No, you serve them. Yeah. K'may sham zeu ike kalal bechinas birchas hamazon birchas oirech mevayrech. The idea that the oirech is the one that's mevayrech. The oirech is mevayrech. Okay, Zeh bechinas birchas haaretz. That's the land, the bracha of Eretz Yisrael. Ki ayedei shevorchen al Eretz Yisrael, through us blessing Eretz Yisrael. Ayedei zeh mamshichin kedushas haorchim tzadikim. It lets you bring in. You should be able to be matnas orchim, the tzadikim, into your house. To have the opportunity to have tzaddikim come to your house. Unbelievable. I'm telling you, Baruch Hashem, I was zeichet to have a lot of tzaddikim come into my house. Baruch Hashem. Over the years. Baruch Hashem. Kol Kedushasam Hu Bechinas Kedushas Eretz Yisrael. All of the Kedusha is the idea of Kedushas Eretz Yisrael. Bechinas Tzadikim Yushuaretz. Why? Because it says that Tzadikim are the ones that are Yerush, and the ones that inherit, that have a keep in the land of Israel. So again, by the fact Israel brings the tikkun for the 4 olives, the fallen olives, that brings more Kedusha to the 4 holy olives. And it's the main tikkun happens in Eretz Yisrael. How does it happen? Through the being matnas orchim of tzaddikim into your house, by taking tzaddikim into the house. Why? Because tzaddikim, yirshu aretz, because it's that tzaddikim that have the land. Okay, now let's go to the next one. The birchas bayne Yerushalayim shesham abeis hamikdash. The great, great Beis HaMikdash, and it's the holiness. That's the house that's between heaven and earth. We know that the Beis HaMikdash is the Pesach Sharei Shemayim, right? The Pesach Sharei Shemayim is in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, from the Even Chesiyah, right? We're going to say in a minute now. Shehu bechinas hamshachas haTorah kedosha sheyesh lokiyam k'may mevayisham ki habeis hamikdash Yerushalayim. The Beis Hamikdash that's in Yerushalayim in HaKodesh. Zeh ikar bechinas habayis shel kiyum. This is the house of existence. This is the house. And we're waiting any day, Chaver. The Beis Hamikdash HaShlishi is going to be here. It's going to be built on Har HaBayis. And that stupid building will be knocked down. And all the Hashem. Any day now, mamish, any moment.
Amen.
Because that is the gateway to heaven. All our tefillas, we know when we daven, anywhere you are in the world, you always face towards Yerushalayim. Why do you face towards you? Because you want your tefillas to go to Shemayim. So where's the Shara Shemayim? It's in Yerushalayim, in the Beis HaMikdash, in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, by the Even Chesiyah. So that's where we're always pointing towards Yerushalayim, because we want our tefillas to go to the Shah, the gateway into heaven. V'sham yisoid haaretz ki sham ha'even Chesiyah shemimenu hushtas ha'olam. That's where the whole world evolved from the Even Chesiyah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that was the founding rock, I guess you can call it. In English you would say, right? The founding rock? The founding rock. Nimsa shabeis hamikdash hu ikar habayis shebein shemaya la'ara. That's the main place, the main station of where you can connect heaven to earth. Heaven to earth was connected to in the Beis HaMikdash. And therefore that is the main where Torah came from. How do you know? Oh, because that's where the Aron stood with the luchos, with the tablets, with the Torah, with the broken luchos, with the tzitzit of the mon. And that everything was there, was standing right there. We say every time when we take out the Ki Mitzion Teitzei Torah. From Tzion, from Yerushalayim comes Torah. Because the holy Sanhedrin, the holy judges, sat and they held and they convened their court. We're in the Lishkas HaGozes, in the courtyard of the Beis HaMikdash. That's where they met. And that's where the emes of Torah came out. The judges made the decision. They were holy judges. They made their decision. The Gemara explains that there were rows, and they sat in their rows, and how beautiful it was, and each one moved up. It was amazing. The whole system was amazing system. Right? But that's where Torah's emes came from. K'meisha kosev ki yipolei mimicha davar la mishpat v'kamta v'alisa el hamakayim. If you have anything that you need, you go to the place and they'll decide it for you. If you have any questions, go to the place, they'll decide it for you. Go to the Beis HaMikdash, go and you'll get a decision. And therefore, when we say the bracha B'nei Yerushalayim, we're bringing the Kedusha of Torah into the world. We're bringing because that's the headquarters of Torah. That's the Shara Shemayim. That's the station, the gateway between heaven and earth. That is the holiness. That's the real holiness of the Beis HaMikdash. The fact that we're connecting heaven and earth. It's not that we're down here on the earth and there's Shemayim up there and not one thing has nothing to do with the other. No, we're intricately connected. Every Jew is intricately connected to Shemayim. How do you know that? It says, Araisa, Kutchabrichu, Araisa, Kuloichod. Hashem, the Torah, and the Jewish people are one. Every Jew has the Neshama. It's a chelik elikam imal. The Neshama is a piece of God in them. So where does Hashem reside in Shemayim? So it means you have a piece of Hashem with you. How can you be disconnected from Hashem ever if you have your Neshama? It's amazing, right? Bracha Reviyas hu hatoiv hametiv kehu kedei levaru lahalais gam hatoiv hagonus b'Torah. The main thing is to lift up all of the toiv that's hidden in the Torah, that's gonus in the Torah. Shal tamidei chachamim begumim, from those tamidei chachamim that have the pagamim that we said yesterday. We learned about them. The ones that learn Torah for their own sake. The ones that learn Torah because they want to become wealthy, or they want to this or that, who knows what they want. They have an ulterior motive. But there's still maybe something good in their teaching. So we could take something good out of it. And it was like we said, we said like this. Remember we said there are 70 languages, right? And you can say Kriya Shema in every language. Remember we said that? Why? Because if you have to make sure you understand it. Because if you're using the language to describe Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, you're extracting the goodness out of that language. Right? There's good in everything. There has to be a spark of Elikus in everything in order to exist. Right? So if you're using the language in order to speak of Hashem, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, so of course, then you can use any language to do that because you're taking the good of the language out to use it. Also, in these Talmid Chacham, in there, what they're doing, there could be something good in there too. So take it, extract it. Ki tuve gonas v'tzrichin levorel alis gama toiv shebesoichai bechinas toichai ochal v'klipasa izora. The same way it says you eat the fruit and throw away the klipa, throw away the husk, the impurity. So that's what you do. You take any lesson. That's why the Chazal say you could learn from something from anybody. You could learn something good from anybody in the street. Every person has goodness in them. You could learn, but take the good and dispel everything else. Discharge everything. Take what's good and throw everything else out. וכמיישם מבואי בסעיף התורה, now וזה ברכס הטוב המיטיב כדי לבורר להעליס גם הטוב הזה הגונס בין החלוקים והמסנגדים, to take the good that's from those that are arguing, going against the Chachamim, and those are the misnagdim that are against the tzaddikim. But still in their teaching to something good. It could be something good. You want to say something, David?
How do you, you can recognize the good, you can take the good, but if the bad that they have is blocking you from even getting to the good of them, it's
No.
bad.
So what he's saying is like this: if even in them, if they're saying something that's right, right? They're saying something that's right. So whatever they're saying is right. Accept what's right and throw out the rest.
Okay.
Throw out the rest. Listen, David, look, we're better off staying away from that altogether. You're right.
Yeah.
But sometimes
you can't.
But exactly. So in that case, so he's teaching you. If you're in a situation where you can't, so just extract what's good out of what they're saying and discharge everything else. The same way you take the fruit and you throw the peels away. Right? No one ever eats the peels of the orange. Right?
What it teaches you is to listen.
What?
What it teaches you is to listen and not block straight away.
Listen, and then, right, and then,
Listen carefully.
what's
Listen
good,
carefully.
what's good, filter it, take what's good, and then the rest is spell. Okay. Ki birchas hatoiv ha'meitiv sheyavne tikuna al haruge beitar shenitnu likvura. We learned about this. We had many lessons on this. That the whole idea that when we had when you had the Bar Kokhba revolt, and then there was all the haruge beitar, and then they took the bodies and they made them into the Roman generals made them into around their vineyards. They took bodies and they made walls out of bodies. It was okay, whatever. The Gemara describes it. Okay, we learned about that. But when in Yavne, when they learned that the bodies were able to be buried, and they saw that there was no decay on the bodies, right? There was a miracle that these bodies were out in the day for a long time. They were out in the open, but they didn't decay. So they saw there was a beautiful thing, and they instituted the bracha of Atoiv V'Ameitiv. Why was it Atoiv V'Ameitiv? You'll see right now. V'Harugei Beita Shahaya Al Shehidliku Neiros L'Churban Beis Hamikdash. They lit candles for the Churban Beis Hamikdash. What does that mean? What does that mean? They lit candles for the Churban Kamaisha Kosav Medrash Eicha in Parshas Bila Hashem. Nimsa Shahoyu Misnagdim Al Yerushalayim Beis Hamikdash Shesham Ika Mokem HaTorah Hamitis. They went against the Beis Hamikdash. Whatever, it's hard to understand these things. It's really very hard to understand these things. They went against it and they were lighting candles, whatever it was. Okay, Aval Bevadai Gam Heim Tzrichan Tikun. You see, everybody needs Tikun. Everybody needs tikkun if you've made mistakes. And this is what Reb Noson always teaches us. There's tikkun for everybody. Everybody can get rectification. It's everyone. Because certainly even though they made a mistake, but there was still a lot of good in them. Right? It says even a Rasha, Chazal say is Mole Mitzvahs Karimai. Right? As Chazal tell us that. Mole mitzvahs karimai. A Rasha is filled with mitzvahs like even a pomegranate. In a pomegranate, you have so many seeds, all of that, right? So of course in the Haruge Beitar, of course, there was still some goodness in there. There was something good. Rak cheta'o al yedei limudim aroyim shel misnagdim al emes. They were going against the truth, and they made a faulty drush, again the faulty olives. Ad shesamchu idviliku neves al churban beis hamikdash v'tam ta'usam, and they tasted their mistake. Machma shoyim b'Yerushalayim rishoyim, because in Yerushalayim there were wicked people. Avo be'emes bevadei chotu miyoid bazeki bevadei afal pi chein ein lahem l'smayach al churban beis hamikdash shesham ikar haTorah. Well, what were they doing? They were saying like this: in Yerushalayim there were so many problems and there were so many wicked people So they were saying, listen, who needs this? So they lit a candle, let all the evil leave the world. The wicked should vanish. That's what they were thinking. It wasn't right. They didn't realize that even in those Rishonim there was still some good thing. They didn't understand that. Right? Rak shetol al yedei limudim royim, they made a mistake. Ve'al kain shenitnu likvura shezeh bechinas tikkun amei shetivla hara ba'ofar, the ra will be what do you call it? It'll be absorbed. They'll be absorbed into the ground. Be absorbed. Okay, yeah. V'hatoiv yizboyer v'yale l'shorshay u'menuchosay al kein tiknu oz birchas hatoiv v'ametiv. But it was a beautiful kiddush Hashem that these bodies, even though they made their mistakes, and you see, our Kadosh Baruch Hu appreciates when you do something good still. In other words, they were really not. Again, Kairach he made his faulty drasha because he wanted it for himself. Haman did his faulty drasha because he wanted it for himself. The Nachash, again, it was for himself, right? These examples, right? But these people, they made a mistake, but they were doing it for the sake of Hashem. They thought they were doing something by lighting the candle for the Beis Hamikdash's destruction. They thought they were doing a favor because all of the riches of Yerushalayim, that Hashem, so to say, is enduring all of that riches of Yerushalayim, was hard for Hashem. That's what they were thinking. So therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, "Wow, since you were caring about me, even though you made a mistake, their bodies did not rot." It's amazing. It's impossible to understand that the body would be out in the. We saw what rained yesterday. It was Baruch Hashem. We had rain, Gishmei Bracha, unbelievable. Could you imagine that during the rain and the cold and the heat and the sun and everything, and the bodies didn't rot? It's impossible to understand. It's impossible. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu showed, if you do something good for me, even if you're making him, I'll still help you. It's amazing. It's mamish amazing. And that's why they put this bracha in Birchas Hamazon. It's strange. Why are we talking about in Birchas Hamazon this thing with the bodies being buried in Birchas Hamazon? Ma shelachayret temua ma shayches shel kfuras harugei beita lebirchas Hamazon. What connection does burial have to do with Birchas Hamazon? Here I'm talking about blessing Hashem for the food that He gave me. So what does burial have to do with sustenance? Al pi anal muva hated, but what we learned before we could understand very well. Look how Reb Noson explains. Ki ikar beira toiv ma'klipa hu ayadei achila. The main toiv and the main way that we could take the klipa out is from our achila, like we learned so many lessons. When we eat. Right, when we eat it. There are 10 mitzvahs. Let's just go over one for 2 minutes. There are 10 mitzvahs when it comes to make bread. Right? You have the zriya, and you have the ketzira, and you have the charisha, right? And then you have the leket, shikha, and teya. And then you can't do the kalayim. And there's 10 mitzvahs to do it with. Okay. And each time you're being mevarer the toiv from the ra. You're taking the toiv out of the ra. And each time you take a seed, you take that seed and it's whole. You put it into the ground. It gets disintegrates, and all of a sudden comes out a stalk. Comes out this stalk. Now the stalk is whole, beautiful, but there's a lot of ra in the stalk because I have all of the shaft, all of the straw, all of the stuff that I don't need. I have to get rid of all of that to get the kernel. The kernel of wheat. I need to get that kernel of wheat. Now I collect all of these kernels. Now I have to grind the kernels. So they're whole, and I have to grind them. Once I grind them, what do I need to do with it then? I add water to them. Yeah. I can add water to them, and I can make bread. What do I do when I make bread? I make a big dough. Right? You have a big piece, you have a big dough. What do I do with the dough? I take the dough and I break a piece off from the dough, and I make a bread. Then I take another piece off and I make another bread, and another piece off and I make another. We're always dividing. We're making clarifications while we're eating, right? But the final tikkun that we make is when you make the bracha, ha'maitzi lechem in arts, when you do the betzias hapas, when you cut the bread and you eat the darker part of the bread, and you eat that and you make the tikkun for that neshama. Then that's the good. But then the rest, the body, once it goes down in the body uses the nutrients to go to all of the organs. Uses the nutrients to go to all of the organs. Once it goes to all of the organs, whatever's not needed, you have to you use the restroom. Right? You all the stuff. So the eating is the final clean, is this bearer that's done of separating the good from the bad. And it's really done through Hashem. Because once you put the food in your mouth, right? Is it true? Do you know what happens to the food once you put it in your mouth? No. Listen, it goes down. Whatever goes on inside, that's up to Hashem. Yeah. No human being knows what's going on. No human being. Once you swallow it, you swallow it. You can be careful what you're eating, of course. But once you swallow it, it's up to Hashem.
No control.
No control. You can control it?
No, but it depends how you treat your body, If you
but once you ate, let's say you ate the healthiest thing in the world. Once you ate it, you swallowed it. Do you have any control of what happens? No control. That's up to Hashem. Hashem will make the decision of how to divide the good and the bad. What's good will get used. What's bad will be pushed out. Will go out. That's all based on Hashem. That's the Achila has the clearest way to define what is good and what is bad. That's what he says over here. The Hainu here. Ki ikar beira hatayv, the main beira of good, the nutrients, the goodness that's in the food. May klipa from whatever is not good, from the klipa, from the impurity. Who are you? The Achila is through Achila, like we just explained. And it happens through when we make the bracha birchas hamazon, because we just learned now in birchas hamazon we make the 4 brachas. What's the 4 brachas? Connected the 4 fallen olives, to lift up the 4 fallen olives, to connect them to holiness through Eretz Yisrael, through being maknis tzaddikim into the house and being maknis orchim to tzaddikim in the house and giving them to eat. The main bearer is through the goodness that's hidden inside the limudim apagum. Even those learning, the teachings that are no good, there still could be something right in there. In other words, even if you see a teaching that's wrong, you could see that the teaching is wrong. So that's seeing the good, that the teaching is wrong. See, Adam Arishan could have said, wait a second, Nachash, wait, your understanding is faulty. That would have been finding the good in the bad. Your whole edifice that you built over here is faulty. That is finding the good in the bad. Okay, Shezeh bechinas haruge beita shenitnu lekfura al kein kovu habrocha al zeh bebirchas hamazon daika dainu birchas hatoiv v'hametiv hatoiv v'hametiv. That's an amazing idea. Okay, Mitzvah Hashem will continue this tomorrow. We'll go to Dalit, and now let's learn the halacha in Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. Okay, here's one halacha quickly in Kitzur Shulchan Aruch because. This is a very beautiful, let's see. So we are learning the halachos of in Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. We are in Simid Lamed, which is the laws of Isser Rechilas, Lashon Hara, and the Kama. So today, if I'm not mistaken, we are up to Ches, right? Okay, let's do Ches. Okay, then they will test tomorrow. We'll finish this. Okay, Im tirtza lihinokei me'avecha. If you want to take revenge, yesterday we were learning you're not allowed to take revenge on people. But now, if I want to take, but again, every time the Torah says you can't do, they give you something that you can do. Oh, you can take revenge on your enemies, right? Now, how do you do that? So how do you do that? By doing good. going in the way of righteousness, going in the way of Hashem, following Hashem's mitzvahs. Going in that way is the way that you can protect this and to go against your enemies. That'll take revenge on your enemies. How? Because they will then be pained by your good midos that you have. They will be mourning when they hear your good name. Could you imagine that all of our enemies, the Hamasniks and the Hezbollah and the Houthim and the Iranians, all of them, when they hear Eretz, they go crazy. They hear our name, they go nuts. They go crazy. They misavel on it. Well, of course, we kill out all of their guys, so of course they misavel, right? Okay. Aval im tasem masem muchaorim. Oh, but if you're going to do terrible things, if we're not going to follow the Torah, we're not going to follow the ways of the Torah, chas v'sholem, oz yismach seinecha al kiloinecha v'cher peisecha. Then your enemies will be very, very happy. They'll be very happy about all of your problems. They'll be very, very happy. And then they'll take and come on you. In other words, so we see that so clearly here in Eretz Yisrael. When we are doing the right thing, our enemies are scared of us. Our enemies run away from us. The enemies they know they can't touch us. But when we fight amongst each other and we don't have the achdus amongst each other, the enemies laugh at us and they know they can attack us and do whatever they want to us. So the answer is follow the ways of HaKadosh Baruch Hu like we just learned. This is Shulchan Aruch learning. This is not Hasidus. This is not Musa. This is Shulchan Aruch. If you want to be successful against your enemies, follow the Shulchan Aruch. Follow what Hashem wants. And the most important thing is to have achdus in Klal Yisrael. We should all hear B'sayros Tavis. Thank you for joining Kol Tov, everybody.